Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. There we go. I'm Jill Meyer. I'm the president and CEO of the Cincinnati, USA Regional Chamber of Commerce, where we work on behalf of thousands of businesses across our 16-county, 3-state MSA. And we are so excited to be here today to announce a special initiative among some of the most important higher ed institutions in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky. Joining us today are Northern Kentucky University President Dr. Ashish Vaidya, Gateway Community and Technical College President Dr. Fernando Figueroa, Cincinnati State Technical and Community College President Dr. Monica Posey, Miami of Ohio President Dr. Greg Crawford, our Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Higher Education, Randy Gardner, and Aaron Thompson, who's the President of the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education. Beginning officially today, these presidents and their respective universities will be participating in the Moonshot for Equity initiative, launched by the EAB to erase equity gaps in college graduation rates. I can tell you that today's announcement is a good, welcomed, and much overdue news for the business community in general, and absolutely here locally as well, as the challenges of talent attraction, retention, and growth remain more intense following COVID. We're still in COVID, but certainly following COVID, and with the emphasis on inclusion and equity to bring more people into that talent pipeline. Studies show that historically underserved students, such as Black, Latinx, Native American, and first-generation students, continue to face systemic barriers when attempting to graduate from college. And I stand before you as a living example of a first-generation college student, and I have to give my plug in here, Dr. Vaidya, and graduate of Chase College of Law at Northern Kentucky University, that the focus on a bigger pipeline of talent does make real differences. As you'll learn more shortly, Moonshot for Equity requires these schools to adopt 15 research-backed initiatives to remove those systemic barriers over the next several years. Some of these goals include providing equity-focused professional development and creating pathways for transfer students. These schools are the latest cohort in a nationwide initiative first launched in the Milwaukee area last year. More clusters will be announced soon, including another one later today. EAB will provide these schools with research, technology, and advisory services, as well as research that will help to enhance the ongoing work at each of these fine institutions. These schools are truly making the first step in an extremely important long-term plan and solution for all of us. Moonshot will generate more college graduates in less time, for less money, and with improved career outcomes for all students, regardless of their socioeconomic or racial status. It's an imperative to equip students with the tools they need to finish their education so that they can enter the workforce and have a lasting impact on our community. That impact begins today and lasts for generations to come. Moonshot is designed to do just that. With gratitude to these colleges and universities for taking this important step, I now invite to the podium and turn it over to the Chancellor of the Ohio Department of Education, Mr. Randy Gardner.
Such an honor to be with you today, to be invited to be part of this celebration of what we can do together to elevate higher education and change lives. It is really a day like this one. It is the chance to work with these college leaders, these presidents. It is the real chance to change lives, that makes me even more excited and more proud to serve Governor Mike DeWine as his Chancellor of Higher Education in Ohio. Post-secondary education attainment matters. College matters. Lower unemployment, higher wages, better healthcare outcomes. We know education matters. These presidents understand this as well, and they are part of 4 schools coming together, showing the kind of bold leadership we need to solve a problem that has plagued education for decades, namely that first-generation students, those who come from more modest upbringings, and students of color tend to graduate college at significantly lower rates than students from other backgrounds. The COVID pandemic, unfortunately, has made this problem even bigger. But equally, a sense of urgency is even more pronounced to tackle this problem. Makes today's announcement even more necessary. Enrollments, retention, FAFSA completion rates, all have been especially impacted by the COVID pandemic, especially for underrepresented populations. So the timing of this announcement, as I say, is so critical. I want to congratulate EAB and the partnership. I've read your 15 best practices to erase equity gaps. I'd like to go through each and every one of them in deep. No, I can't do that. They've told us 3 minutes, and that's it. So let me just highlight a couple of them. Number 5, the second chances for adult learners. In our state budget, we had $3 million for second chance vouchers, and we have a program called College Comeback, which basically Ohio colleges all over Ohio are saying, we want you back. Even if you have debt, we want to welcome you back to the classroom, and we will find a way to bring you back. College-level gateway courses, that's number 9 on the list. The Ohio Association of Community Colleges listed that as their number 1 priority going into 2021. Governor DeWine provided $4.5 million of GEAR funding to encourage co-requisite coursework because we know that improves graduation rates. Dr. Posey, thank you for acknowledging that. Pathways for transfer students, number 12. If we are truly all in this together, then we have to do everything we can to break down the barriers and to support transfer students. Just excited to be here and be part of this message today. I'm proud to be standing with here education leaders and community leaders who understand this challenge, who are committed to doing the right thing, and who are willing to cross the river and any ideological differences to serve a greater purpose. For that, we are truly all in this together. I applaud you, I thank you, and I'm excited to work with you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I think my next charge is to introduce our next speaker, is it not? Is that my job? Okay, I'm glad to do that. I have a new best friend in education, someone who has a long and distinguished career in higher education, truly making a difference in so many ways. The president of the Kentucky Council on Post-Secondary Education, Dr. Aaron Thompson. Doctor?
I think the biggest charge I had today was stay within 3 minutes, so I figured that was more like 7 or 8, but I'll stay here. It's important for me to say this before we get started. It's really good to be at this event. I mean, equity so often hasn't had an operational definition that made sense. It was something that sounded good, we all valued, but no one really knew how to operationalize it to get where we're going. Good to see my good friend Tom. I've known Tom for a long time. I'll introduce him here in a second. But I want to tell you in Kentucky, and I'm proud to say this, in the last 3 years, we've been closing gaps as fast or faster than any other state in the union. And I'm happy about that. Reason why we focus on it. Our Kentucky Community and Technical Colleges, and I have Paul Zarpada, who's the president of that system, and Lisa Damaris, who's the chair of the board. Our community and technical colleges, along with their 4-year institutions, have made it a point to do that. So this moonshot is actually, in my opinion, taking it to the next level, and we're happy to be a part of that. Now, as a kid who's from Appalachia, who's a first-generation high school student, father was illiterate, mother had an 8th grade education. You know, high school was a place that was foreign to me. It was an immigrant experience. And without the faculty, the staff, other students helping me, it was really important. So when I took over this role several years ago, there's things that we did based on a lot of the stuff the Complete College America and us working together decided to do. First of all, outlawed every developmental education course for our four-year institutions, and our community colleges could have one. Those are things that are important. These are the big inputs that we have to get where we're going. This is, once again, going to the new level of input. That's why if we're going to talk about transformation, our approaches to student success has to look on what still is left yet to do. We have to look at the barriers that we're setting up individually for our students, not focusing on who they are. We have to change the paradigm from teaching to learning, and we have to look at what it means to know that 1 in 10 of our Kentucky students are minority, 2 in 10 are over the age of 25, 3 in 10 first generation, 4 in 10 low income. If we don't target the efforts to really focus on those that are the most disenfranchised, we're never going to raise everybody up. And that's what our philosophy has been in Kentucky. That's why this time takes us to that new level. I'm happy to say that I'm very much gratified that I can be a part of this. The other item that I would ask us to think about are all of our nomenclature. What does traditional student mean? What does it mean to think about, even looking at those that we've measured to be adult learners by age 25 and more, we have so many students in Kentucky that are under 25 but have all the criteria of adult learners. They have kids at home. They're trying to take care of families. We need to look at exactly what it means to focus holistically on the learner and not on exactly what we're doing at a macro level just simply because we were told that's what we had to do 20 years ago. It means looking at it truly from where we want to be in 10 years from now, not where we were at 10 years ago. So Tom, as EAB brings us this new knowledge, as you bring to us the new sort of invigoration toward this moonshot as it was many years ago, as a kid seeing the NASA ship being launched, landing on the moon. The surrealness of that was as much as what I would call new innovation as it was for me getting in high school and going to college. That's the level of understanding that we still have to have with many of the students that we're dealing with. I'm proud to be a part of this group. Now let me introduce you to someone who I've known now for a while, but Tom has spent most of his life in mission-driven organizations. I got a chance to meet with Tom when he co-founded Complete College America, which we have been a part of, that I have been engaged with now for over a decade. But also I've had a chance to watch Tom as he personally took on what I call the challenges that sometimes that we were afraid to take on in higher education, the challenge that you gave to us. As Tom joined EAB as the VP for partnerships, I told someone at the time, we're going to miss Tom in this role in Complete College America to kind of give us that little extra sugar. Tom, we're getting it now, my friend. Welcome. Come on up.
I was walking over here in the humidity, so I apologize if I sweat a little bit on you this morning. And I think, Aaron, the last time I was this close to the river in downtown Cincinnati was to go to Three River Stadium and watch the Bengals play an exhibition game. And it was a big deal because I was with my dad. And I was only 18 then, and I lost my dad when he was just 45. And so there weren't a lot of moments like that. So this downtown reminds me of that. And the most important memory wasn't how the Bengals played the next day. It was the fact that he and I went to dinner and a movie downtown. It was weird because Dad said, it was kind of late. He goes, "You want to go catch a movie?" I'm like, "What? Just you and me, Dad? And we saw a movie called And Justice for All. And Justice for All, Al Pacino. And it spoke to me. All dinner long I was saying, that's just not right, and we need to fight harder. And look at me now, huh? Moonshot for equity in downtown Cincinnati. Man, it's just one of those moments when I was walking over here that has all made it come together. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, President Meyer, for your powerful words of welcome this morning. Your passion and vision leave little doubt that this region is on its way to being one of the hottest in America, as you like to say. Chancellor Gardner, I understand you had a 100% voting record in the state legislature over 33 years. Before I was at Complete College America, I served a governor, congressman, a United States senator for almost a quarter century, so I know what a voting record like that is like. And I also know they call you the Cal Ripken of the legislature because of your stick-to-itiveness, and we're counting on that commitment from you for this initiative too, sir, so thank you for being here. President Thompson, Aaron, it's so good to see you again. It was so kind of you to make those remarks. I will say, ladies and gentlemen, Aaron has always been at the forefront of the college completion movement. He and Bob King would attend almost everything that Complete College America put on. They were engaged leaders of their Kentucky delegation, and it is no surprise to me that you're enjoying his leadership today. You are very, very fortunate, and we've come a long way, Aaron. I'm delighted that President Zarapata of KCTCS is with us this morning. Thank you, Paul, for joining us, and congratulations on the brand new gig. They say that there are two kinds of leaders in the world. There are those who run from problems and those who run toward them. And of course, Paul took the job in the teeth of a pandemic, so I think we know what kind of leader he is, and we're delighted to have him here with us today. I also want to say good morning to our 4 distinguished college presidents. We'll hear more from them in a moment. I've so enjoyed getting to know them and working with them over the past several months. Andy, I see you there in the audience too. Your leadership was critical with theirs in moving this agenda forward. You are truly blessed in this region by their leadership. Finally, I want to welcome all those who might be tuning in from their offices or from their homes or from their home offices these days, and certainly across the college campuses. I do hope some students happen to tune in, because this important message, that audience, the students and this community are what this really historic event is all about. In many ways, we're launching this region on a course to an era of new prosperity and achievement, where all, and I mean all, can rise as high as their dreams and hard work in the classroom can take them. This is the transformative impact of finally and for all time erasing achievement gaps in higher education. In this region, before this decade is out, one's wealth, family educational heritage, ethnicity, or skin color will no longer be valid predictors of academic success in college. I know this can be done because it has been done, and the people who did it have all signed up to help this initiative be successful. How do I know our efforts will have the consequential economic impacts? Because one source, the highly respected experts at the Center of Education and Workforce at Georgetown University, have documented that each and every year, our national economy loses nearly $1 trillion of economic vitality simply because our students can't efficiently and effectively transfer their credits. $1 trillion. Think about that. More would graduate instead of dropping out. More would start new high-paying jobs and businesses instead of being burdened with student loan debt and no degree. More could afford houses and cars and all the basic things in life that propel our economy forward. And it's almost $1 trillion for America. If it's $1 trillion for America, how much could it be for Cincinnati and northern Kentucky? I hope we can figure that out. But I'm not talking about the complexities here of having that kind of economic impact by negotiating some complicated new trade deal with a far-off country. All we have to do is remove the barriers to success in our colleges that for too long have held back millions of our students, denying all of us the shared prosperity their college graduations could provide. Remediation courses that lead nowhere, mathematics that doesn't match college majors or career needs, aimless wandering of course catalogs instead of clear pathways to graduation, silly, short-sighted financial penalties for unpaid parking tickets or library fines that don't seem to amount to much to us, but for them it could be the difference between scraping together enough money to re-enroll or to drop out. And yes, we have to make it easier for students to move between our colleges. Easier to start at Gateway or Cincy State and finish it on time at NKU or Miami by building seamless pathways to graduation and robustly honoring the full range of their learned knowledge and skills. But let me be crystal clear, because I don't want to be misunderstood. We're not going to make college classes easier. We must protect academic rigor, and I have every confidence, Aaron, the faculty will make sure that we do so. But we are going to make college easier to navigate, especially for those most often left behind. And so today is a day for celebration and excitement, not just for all of us, but for all of you. So on behalf of EAB, I am absolutely delighted to announce the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky region has been selected as one of only 7 regions to join an unprecedented national effort to dramatically boost student success and erase achievement gaps, the Moonshot for Equity. Congratulations. Let me wrap up by real quickly just addressing this whole notion of a moonshot. Why a moonshot? Why a moonshot? Because time and again we've shown in America that when we all work together in public and private partnership, summoning all of our collective expertise and talent, we can work urgently to accomplish a clear, transformative goal. Here today, we're committing to erasing equity gaps by income, first-generation status, race, and ethnicity within our colleges and between our colleges by 2030. 60 years ago this week, President Kennedy laid down his famous Moonshot Challenge. Of course, we all remember that he said we choose to do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. That's clearly a powerful and memorable turn of phrase. But it's the rest of that sentence that actually holds more meaning for us today. Kennedy went on to say that going to the moon, quote, will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills, because that challenge is one that we are willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one which we intend to win. Erasing equity gaps in higher education is the best measure of our energies and skills. It is the only fulsome measure of our professed commitment to more student success. And it is a challenge for these 4 presidents today. It's a challenge these 4 presidents today intend to win, not just for their colleges, but for this entire region. Ladies and gentlemen, you are lucky you have these presidents of your Moonshot for Equity. And it's my pleasure to introduce them to you now and ask them to join me up front. Ashish Vaidya, President, Northern Kentucky University. Gregory Crawford, President, Miami University. Fernando Figueroa, President, Gateway Community and Technical College. And Monica Posey, President, Cincinnati State Technical and Community College. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to just spend a few moments chatting about why the initiative means so much to these leaders. Happy to take some questions from you guys in the audience as well. And let's get started with President Vaidya. I know that Northern Kentucky, Ashish, has been working on these issues for some time. What is it about the Moonshot framework that you feel will amplify your focus and your own efforts?
Very good. Well, first and foremost, Tom, I just want to say good morning to everyone, and thank you for all for being here, of course, and many of those who are streaming in. Thanks to you, Tom, and the entire EAB team for making this happen. And we've been having these conversations for several months, a few steps forward, half a step back, but everything worked out really well.
Congratulations.
And what a beautiful day we have to celebrate this wonderful occasion. And of course, I want to thank my colleagues here who we've spent endless hours talking about this and getting to this point. So it is really an exciting day for this region, and we're delighted to be part of it as well.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I feel very fortunate, Tom, and everyone else here. This is my 4th year to be the privileged service to Northern Kentucky University. And ever since my arrival, I knew this was a special place. This region, my colleagues, the institutions, what we're trying to do here as a region has been critical. And it really has been something that I've really come to embrace so much. At NKU, our focus, ever since we arrived and developed our strategic framework on success by design, was how do we advance student success in terms of serving this region. You've said it beautifully, Tom, and my colleagues here. Aaron, thanks for being here as well, and Chancellor as well. This is the imperative of our time. There is no question about this. As Martin Luther King said, the fierce urgency of now.
Exactly.
And we have to make progress on this. Higher education, more than any other place, is the single most important pathway to economic and social mobility. And so NKU's vision to become nationally recognized as a student-ready, regionally engaged university that empowers diverse learners, and that's the key for economic mobility. So this was a perfect sort of alignment between what EAB is trying to do as a national initiative and what NKU and its partners were already kind of seeking to do. So it just made natural sense for us to be partners with this and adopt those 15 best practices along with all the expertise that we will have and the technology to better serve our students and close equity gaps before this decade is done.
Thank you, Ashish. Let's turn to a community college perspective now. Monica, I'd love to ask you about your reactions to this opportunity and especially how you think about transfer and the important role that transfer plays in this region.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I wish you could see my smile.
Yeah, mine
Just
too.
imagine it. So at Cincinnati State, we really have been on an equity journey for years. And thank you, Chancellor Gardner. The support from Ohio has been amazing. And the funding, we plan to use every dollar. And we also really are led by our provost, Robin Huss. All our faculty, our deans, our staff, the advisors are very passionate about equity. And we've implemented some of the best practices, and we want to go further. And we want to do more around transfer because it's about students' goals and their dreams, and many come to us with the dream of transferring to these universities. So our measures, what we want to look at is how fast they can transfer, how to maximize their credits, how to maximize scholarship opportunities, and how to maximize completion and employment. That's our particular goal.
Wonderful. Thank you, Monica. Fernando, I'm going to turn to you now. You know, as much as we all love to look out the window and see this beautiful river, often, as I've learned in my discussions with you guys, it tends to feel more like a barrier than a point of connection to students. You're a philosophical guy. Give me some sense of how you see the impact of this effort, especially as you think about making that river a point of connectivity instead of an obstacle.
Yeah, so, you know, hello. How are y'all? I'm from Louisiana, so y'all is good. So let's talk about y'all. You know, I grew up in a city with a river, but it was, you know, the Mississippi River, you know, there, and certainly a powerful energy source. And this river also has the potential of being that same kind of powerful energy source, bringing people together, creating energy that moves. And movement is what it's all about. If we're stagnant, we get rotten, and we know how that works. So what we've got in our communities and in our economies is we have areas that have stalled. We have areas that need energy and movement. And education is one of those areas. It's certainly one of the areas that draws the most passion. I can tell you, you want to get passion, you bring 4 educators in a room together, you take these 4 presidents and talk about equity, access, and success, and you will get a lot of energy around that. The challenge is, how are we connected to our communities? How are we connected to our systems? And how are we connected to our communities this side and that side of the river? I think one of the attractive things about this particular location is we are the only site, I believe, that crosses state lines. So to talk about
So far,
right, and we hope more will join us.
That's right.
Proof of concept. And so when I think about, you know, all the challenges that are going to run and all the logistics and everything, and all that's true, but the vision that keeps me going is I want to think about every 5-year-old, every 5th grader, every person that started to enter high school, particularly in our River City schools, where they perhaps don't feel like they have opportunity or they don't think they have a chance. For each of them to know, by the time we get to 2030, they have a talent. That talent can be honed, that there's a place for that talent to be expressed and reflected their value back to them in environments that see their worth and value, and then build communities of businesses that also see that value. Because what we're going to do is we're going to graduate, right? We're going to have credentials. But if we don't have a community that says, absolutely, this is what we want, right? This is who we value, then it's all going to fall on deaf ears. And that's why this effort of the moonshot is really appropriate from my perspective, is because it means everybody's in.
there you go. There you go. I love that. And take that as an appeal for your involvement and for those watching at home. It will take all of us working together. These 4 presidents are providing extraordinary leadership in their campuses, but I know they all agree that community involvement, community-based organizations helping to support, really mobilizing the business community, Jill, and others in full support of this will be required for us to succeed in the goal by 2030. Greg, President Crawford, delighted that you're a part of this. I will say that you come to this work from a little bit different perspective, I think, in that Miami University has enjoyed tremendous success under your leadership in increasing its graduation rates and erasing its equity gap narrowly, and I want you to tell us more about that. And so you're stepping up, not because the need is as clear on your local campus, perhaps, as it is an opportunity for you to help others across the region, which I think is extraordinarily admirable. Do you want to expand on your journey so far and what you've learned along the way?
Sure. Well, thanks, Tom, and thank you to all my colleagues and all of our faculty and staff across all the institutions that truly put their heart and soul into equity and to graduating students and to student success. I think there's a few reasons we're involved with Moonshot from the perspective of Miami University. I think first and foremost, it's about mission, purpose, and it's one of our top priorities. And certainly when we can build a more equitable, a more inclusive campuses, and also in our region, that's just fantastic. And so that brings us to the point that we're all in this together, number one, and having crossing state lines has just been fantastic, but we're also stronger together, and we can have more success together. And so sharing best practices across our campuses is going to be fantastic, and also sharing our expertise with other of our colleagues will be great for everyone. And so we're super excited to be in that area where we can actually trade off ideas and move forward collectively together in our region. And I think third is that, we're always focused in on the equity gap and graduation rate. I mean, those two go hand in hand, and you close the equity gap, and you're just never going to be done. You got to keep it closed, and you got to keep increasing your graduation rate. And so we're going to talk a lot about that and just keep improving because we have work to go. We've closed our gap, and we have a pretty good graduation rate, a high graduation rate right now, but we still got to make progress every day, and that's what our faculty and staff and so forth do in a great way. But I'd like to say, too, is that we focus on numbers. And we're going to start graduating more students from every background and so forth. But just think about the impact that one extra college graduate has in our region. Mm-hmm. If it's a K through 12 teacher, they're going to impact thousands of lives during their career. If it's a nurse, their compassion and their caring is going to impact countless patients every day. If they're an entrepreneur and they grow their company in our region, they're going to hire 100 or 1,000 or maybe 10,000 employees, and certainly a scientist or an engineer that makes that breakthrough discovery for the next cure of a disease. And finally, if you're an artist, you're an author, you're a composer, you're going to inspire millions of people with your creativity. So as we think about numbers and closing the gap, let's not forget about the impact that individuals have. And for a college president, all of us, I can say that we get out there and hear from our alums, and we just love to see that ripple effect that they bring to our communities and pass that on for the common good.
Such a powerful vision, Greg. Thank you for sharing that. I think something else that's often lost is that people tend to undervalue the important signal we're sending today to students in K-12, to students whose parents may not have ever gone to college, that there are uniquely committed leaders here who are going to make that pathway smoother for you, signaling to them that you ought to give it a try. Hey, go to Cincy State. It's different now. They are really wired. They really care. They've adopted this Moonshot for Equity, and they're all in to help you succeed. So give it a try if you've ever hesitated. That's a super powerful message that you guys are sending today, not just to your own students and graduating them, but to those who will come in the future. I want to make sure we can entertain a few questions if we have them from the audience. Happy to ask a few more of my own, but let's make sure that everybody gets a chance to offer their words of wisdom or counsel. Anyone have a question for us today? Paul, do you want to get a chance to say something since we didn't give you a chance to come to the microphone? Happy to do that.
I'm excited about this initiative. I'm excited to see what we can do and how we can spread that across our other 15 colleges.
Thank you. Yeah. Your leadership is incredibly important. Thank you so much, and for your board chair as well. Yes, Jill.
I would love to ask the presidents, I have read this as well and am so excited about what this means for our talent pipeline here locally. How best for the business community to step into this and help all of you as you're helping that talent pipeline? Where is that best connection point?
Yeah, so I was asked to repeat the question to the microphone. So in what way can the business community most effectively contribute and support the effort? Who'd like to take that question?
Well, I'll lead off, and I'm sure everybody else can jump in. And Jill, thanks very much for that question. I think it's a critical component of our success. There's no question. And we have been engaging with the business community, as you very well know. You talked about the talent pipeline. There is no more important effort that actually builds into that. What I keep hearing from business leaders around this region, ever since I've been here, is we need more talent. We need more diverse talent, because that's what's going to really give us the competitive edge in this globally connected marketplace that we have. And so we have our marching orders. As you very well know, 82% of NKU's graduates stay in this region. So that, to Greg's point, every additional student that we make sure stays on that path, graduates successfully with a highly valued degree, certificate, or credential, adds to this talent pipeline and makes a difference. Where the business community can help us really is engaging us throughout this process, from the day one, welcoming students into this community, saying you are an asset here. Regardless of your background, your zip code, your socioeconomic status, you are the future of this region. So small things like that from the very beginning, in terms of making sure that they understand the pathway, reinforcing the message, because right now that message has been muddied quite a bit. Is college worth it? I never would have imagined that question would have been posed. And time and again, we have seen that unequivocally answered. As an economist by trade, I know I can say that. All the studies prove that without a doubt. College is very much worth it. So the business community can reinforce that message. And then last but certainly not the least, providing those experiential learning opportunities like internships and so on and so forth that create a pathway for career success. There's no better way as part of an education. You're part of the education process, very much part of the education process. There are no walls and boundaries as far as we are concerned, and I think that will make a big impact for us.
I want to call on Monica to chime in there too, because community colleges have traditionally had a very strong working relationship with the business community, providing the workforce that they need. Monica, do you want to?
Yes, thank you. And of course, at Cincinnati State, we have our cooperative education program, one of the largest for two-year colleges across the country. But like Gateway, we also have clinical experiences and practicum experiences. So the business community, I consider as part of our academic programming. And so we encourage companies to keep connecting with us, learn about our programs, find ways to come on campus to meet the students, be engaged. Many companies are, and we want to expand that. And then understand what we're doing. We're implementing some innovative practices, multiple measures. We've done that at Cincinnati State. Our goal now is to share that and increase success of all students, but also work through that equity gap. So learn about what we're doing, our innovation, and also come and join us in this partnership. Thank you. And
I'd also stress, invest in it, Jill.
Yes.
You know, the philanthropic money that was so supportive of the college completion movement at the beginning, back in 2009, 2010, Gates, Lumina, Kresge, Kellogg, and the others, that money is spread so thinly now across the country, right, Aaron, that, you know, we really need to engage local philanthropies, regional philanthropies, large employers to invest in this moment of transformation. I mean, these leaders are saying that they're going to erase equity gaps in 10 years. And there's a very prescriptive MOU that, as you know, serves as the backbone for this. This isn't just nice words. This is real hard work that's measurable, with metrics associated with it. There's never a better time for business to say, you know what, that's the kind of accountability that we've been looking for. We want to help you get there, and we'll help you fund some of the transformation work that's necessary. So I would encourage that as well. Other questions? Yes, Aaron.
Yes, I have a two-part question. One is, and especially will go to Dr. Crawford, every one of your campuses are doing something really well toward closing equity gaps. I'd like to know what you think that is. The second part of that is, what would you like to double down on, especially with this moonshot?
Very good. The question was, what are you doing now and that you're proud of around the issue of equity, and how does the moonshot allow you to double down on some of those things?
Yep, so we had 15 points from EAV, and it's interesting because some of our strategies, we have a 6 or a 7-point strategy, but they no doubt are wholly congruent with what EAB is doing here with Moonshot and what we'll do collectively together, and there's areas where we'll actually improve upon. But I think first and foremost, we do a lot with academic success, and so we have cohorts For example, our Bridges program, where we start high school students early from underserved communities and bring them into college as a junior or senior in high school, and we get them ready to apply to Miami and help them through that process, which I think is great. We're also part of a big collaboration, the Lewis Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation for our STEM students, which gives them great support and great opportunities to be successful in the STEM degrees for those students coming from underserved backgrounds. And we have a great center for the Miami students, or the Native American tribe that our school is named after, and we bring success that way to our tribe students. And so there's academic excellence programs that work well at the campus, which I think first and foremost sets the stage. And I think secondly, it's around student success and also technology. And so on the student success side, we put a lot of effort into both tutoring, I have trouble with calculus, and also coaching. I need to help with my time management. And both of those two things come to play, especially in your early years at college. And then, of course, for students with learning disabilities, we have a great center there. And we have a wonderful faculty that really puts their heart and soul into our students on student success. But the technology piece, it's called Navigate. We used this word before. It's a platform through EAB. It's going to really help us actually track students and monitor their progress. And rather than be reactive, like, uh-oh, we have a problem here, somebody didn't do very well on a midterm, we can be proactive before that happens and get them to do well on a midterm. And so that's what I think the technology piece really brings to the table that we're all going to embrace in the future as well. So I think those are two big areas for us. And then, of course, to focus on student success, we do a lot with health, physical health, mental health, and also health and wellness. And so students sometimes fall out of the pipeline just because of a health issue or a health problem, which can be remedied or fixed if you have professionals there. So we made investments, a lot of new investments in mental health across our campuses. And then finance, of course. We do a lot with aid, but nevertheless, there's small things. You heard about the tickets, the library fines, and these small things. We have a little micro grant program that we can kind of erase those costs right away so that students don't have to make a decision. Do I have to pay my small bill here because I parked in the wrong spot versus can I come back to school?
There you go.
And so we kind of do that aspect. And then our alumni really stepped up during COVID with an emergency needs fund.
Yeah.
And we put over $1 million into our students to keep them on campus and keep them in school. And so I think that was a big part of it. And then certainly in the end, we want to place students in careers. And going back to the question of what we can do with companies and so forth. Student success, when you give them meaning or you put practice to their theoretical aspects of the classroom, that's just fantastic. That's part of student success. That's part of closing this equity gap. That's part of increasing our graduation rates. So the more we can do with companies, both early, often, and at a high level, it'll be more important. It'll be very important for closing that equity gap and improving our graduation rates. And so those are kind of a few areas which we work in terms of student success and so forth. And we really will double down on the technology piece that we're all excited about, and that platform is going to help with student success in a big way.
Thank you. That question was directed at all of you. Does anyone want to add anything to what Greg said? Greg had a comprehensive answer there. Anything that he missed that you want to expand on, Fernando? You're making some notes.
I think that, we've all developed partnerships and networks with our high schools, with the university partners. We have a very strong partnership with Gateway to NKU, and one of the efforts is through our River City schools and the River City Network, where we provide hubs for career technical education, advanced manufacturing, HVAC, IT, the great fields for the future. And I think that, with this River City Promise that we also launched, I think over a year and a half ago, where if a student starts with us, completes with us, moves on to NKU, then they don't have to worry about tuition. And so, again, it's with all of these ideas in mind. I think what I would like to see is a more transparent framework in Kentucky and also in Northern Kentucky and in Ohio, I think, of the pathways, right? So that people are not guessing. We are still a loose, baggy monster for most folks that try to understand, like, how do I get to college? Why would I get to college? Where do I get to college? And then what good is it going to do for me? We have the opportunity now, with working with our business partners, developing pathways and competencies related to specific sectors and specific businesses so that we take a lot of the guesswork out. We wonder how we're going to deal with our adult population that has some college but no degree. By working with our workforce innovation boards, with working with our chambers, with working with our business partners to make sure that when there's a downsize at one company, we know there's an upsize at another company. That should not be a mystery, and it should not be be a mystery as far as to how people connect. Getting those kind of networks and transparent landscapes out to the community to understand that dual credit, right, and you know this, Dr. Thompson, that dual credit is still underrepresented by people of color, even though it's been a strategy that has been gangbusters for 25 years now, but we still haven't made that leap. It's when people begin to see, I belong there, right, and they know that there's no mystery to it and it's not a hidden agenda, that's when we start to really make a difference. So I want to double down on that framework and communication of that framework.
Tom, I'll just quickly add, and you saw some great examples already here, but one of the things I think NKU has been doing very intentionally over the last year or so, and in fact, in many ways, COVID actually exacerbated that urgency, was this notion of coordinated care. You know, and that's the other, we've talked about that. What are the barriers? And we found even within the university, we're not always talking to each other about the students and thinking about what the challenge could be, whether it's a financial aid problem, a mental health issue, something else to do with food insecurity or whatever it is. And the technology is going to really help us have those conversations so different parts of the community within the campus are well connected to the students and what that issue is. So this model of coordinated care that we're expanding, it also builds on something fundamental. I know we've touched upon it a little bit today. It's not the fact of, especially with the number of first-generation students, as you mentioned, Aaron, whether you in fact, did you feel that you even belonged in that space? That's what really gets to many of our students. Do they even belong on a college campus? And frankly, for decades, we have not made that easy, right? We keep talking about, are you ready for college? And we haven't asked ourselves, are we ready to serve these new students?
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thinking, this coordinated care model, where we're talking to each other and thinking holistically about the student. Going back to your point, Greg, every student that matters. If they stop out for whatever reason, that's something that we have lost as a society, and we can't let that happen.
So well said. One of the national mentors, I'm calling you in a second, Monica, one of the national mentors for the Moonshot for Equity is Georgia State University, where they famously erased equity gaps year after year and dramatically improved completion rates for all students. They're providing technical assistance in the Moonshot to help folks. And if you talk to the folks at Georgia State, they will tell you that the fundamental paradigm shift that they had to adopt at the very beginning of their work was to no longer see the students as broken, but to accept that they were broken and mismatched for the needs of the students today. You can hear from all these presidents that are gone are the days in this region where it's like, welcome to college, good luck to you. It's welcome to college, we're here to help you. We want you to succeed, and that's super exciting, folks. Monica, do you want to expand on any of that?
I'll just add the key word is really pathway, that we bring in students, diverse students from all different types of backgrounds and experiences. And we want to facilitate that pathway to completion and to transfer and to employment. So the technology will help us moving towards, at some point, data analytics. We're emphasizing advising. How can we make sure we advise students not just when they come in, but how we have alerts and we keep advising them and retaining them all the way through, and then a smooth pathway advising to their 4-year program as well. That's what we're going to emphasize.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to let that be the final word, and I'm going to put the presidents on the spot. I'm going to call an audible right now. Sorry, guys, but you've already looked at this document, and you all agreed to it. But if the press wants to come forward, we need to give the press some time to ask some questions, too, outside. But if you want to come forward and shoot some quick B-roll, as they say, of the president signing jointly the memorandum of understanding that commits them to the work, I think that'd be a nice touch. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming today. We really appreciate your support. It will be needed.